Going on YouTube? Welcome to the channel. I'm Vision, and today we have the new Predecessor patch notes for version 0.6 releasing tomorrow, April 18th at approximately 12 o'clock GMT. There is a lot to go through in these patch notes. I'm going to try to make this video nice, quick, concise, hit all the hot spots for you, and just give you a quick rundown and breakthrough of what to expect when the patch releases tomorrow. So without further ado, let's get right into it. When the patch drops tomorrow, we're going to have a few hours of downtime to be expected with the size of the patch. We're also getting Season 2 dropping with a brand new hero, also the first iteration of the replay system and competitive nights, as well as our Season 1 rewards. And with Season 1 ending, make sure if you're on the cusp of unlocking one of the Season 1 rewards, you get one every 10 levels, make sure you grind that out the rest of today and tomorrow before the patch drops. The first section here, they're talking about how they want a longer time to kill, especially for the carry role, as their damage output has been the most problematic. As a result, elements such as critical strike damage and hero basic attack skillings are receiving a reduction in power, alongside a decrease in potency for many of the carry items too. Then they talk about how they're compensating with that by bringing some of the damage there towards abilities to facilitate clearer trading patterns and windows of strength. They really want to promote fighting and working around your ability instead of your basic attack, by also reducing the time to kill at the same time. They go on to talk about some of the buffs they're peppering in for other heroes, such as Richter getting buffs for his role diversity, Fang Mao mana improvements to help him gain a presence on the map, and some buff for Phase Harvest Nestle's ability to make her more aggressive playstyle more rewarding. Next up, it talks about the new hero we'll be getting, which is Phase. I don't know much about Phase, but if you played Paragon, you should be familiar with her. I'm not going to dive into her right now. I will be playing her on stream tomorrow. If you want to check that out, check me out on twitch.tv/wvisionw. But here are all her stats and abilities if you want to pause the video and take a look. Moving on, we have these Season 1 rewards. Basically, every 10 levels you get a reward. We'll be getting those rewards tomorrow, as well as your player level will reset for Season 2. Up next, we have competitive nights. We're excited to introduce competitive nights to Predecessor starting April 27th. We'll be opening up competitive nights queue for 3 hours every Thursday evening for Europe and NA East regions. To participate, players will need to form a party of 5 and go head-to-head against the most skilled teams in the game. All players will start each week with the same matchmaking score, so it's a great opportunity to see how high you can climb on the leaderboard before the week is out. Grab 4 friends and get ready to compete in the ultimate test of skill and teamwork. So it's great we're getting competitive play now. I rather personally see a ranked play where I can constantly play it and rank up. But for now, we have competitive nights. Looks like for only 3 hours every Thursday evening. And in 3 hours, you can only get so many games in. And it might be hard to get a group of 5 people together that you know play for those 3 hours on a Thursday evening, but we'll see how it goes, and at least we're getting some sort of competitive play. Up next, we have the replay system in beta. This week we've added the first iteration of the much awaited replay and spectator feature. With this feature, we can now watch back recent matches as well as matches your friends have played. The goal is to empower the community to create more content and support community-run events. Currently, the replay keybinds are not displayed in-game, but we will be adding this in the future. For now, you can find them listed below for both keyboard and mouse. So we're getting a replay system, which is very cool. You can replay your matches as well as your friends' matches. Should be great to make some content with. As they said, the keybinds aren't in game yet, but they are all listed here. Up next, we have the public API releasing tomorrow for all of the community developers, with the tools to create new applications and features that support, expand, and enrich both Predecessor and the wider community. More developers will gain access to the API in the coming days, as well as we have the community event, the Hunt, Kira 1, so we will be getting another profile icon featuring Kira. We'll also be getting new skins for Faye, FaZe, and Sev. They all look great. Faye's getting a really cool green looking skin. FaZe is getting an all white skin, and Sev is getting a Grand Oracle. They're all common, so that'll be cool to check out. Then it goes on to say some of the other improvements, where we have various map improvements with collision and other various improvements. Getting a few changes to Sparrow, including her portrait and as well as her bow visuals. Improvements to the way target abilities snap to targets, as well as the recommended list will now include tonics. Also tone down some of the visual effects on other heroes when closer to the camera. Adjusted animations for Belka's Seismic Assault and Kira's Mercy, so that'll be great to see. Now we get into the balancing changes. To get started here, as they said, they are decreasing the critical strike damage as well as the basic attack scaling, pretty much across the board for most of the heroes. As for the critical strike damage, the base critical strike damage decreased from 165 to 160. Seems pretty conservative, but you have to remember that they're changing a lot of the items as well as their basic attack scaling. So the critical strike damage, that's across the board. That's for the entire game, all the heroes, from 165 to 160. The basic attack scaling adjustments will be by hero, and the ones that have changed will be listed below in the hero section. Ability descriptions for all heroes now state their basic attack damage as well as their basic attack damage from scaling. And for the heroes, we're going to run through really quickly because there's a lot of changes, but across the board, they're pretty much all the same. All of the carries and ADCs are getting a decently sized nerf, and as well as most of the characters in the game are getting their basic attack damage power scaling, physical or magical, whichever one they are, decreased by 10 to 20% depending on the character. So most of them are going to be at around 90 to 80% after the patch. So if you want to look at each character, you can just pause it or go look for yourself. But I'm just going to stop at each of the carries that got most of the patches and go through them. So for Drongo, again, basic attack 90 to 80%. His Gag Grenade radius decreased from 350 to 300. Rad Rounds, his cooldown was decreased, but at the same time his damage was decreased also. So a little bit less damage, but a little bit less cooldown also. Old Rusty cooldown changed, pretty much just broadening the cooldown for Old Rusty, as well as decreasing the cost of mana for it to a base 60. Shrapnel cannon damage increased from 175 to 200, 300, 325, 425 to 450. So a 25 increase in damage. Physical armor shred duration 8 seconds to 4 seconds. Self knockback distance 1,000 units to 800 units. As I said, most of these are going to have the same nerf in the basic attack damage. But we will go to Kira, which is the next ADC with some nerfs. Again, basic attack 90 to 80. Dusk got a big change, went from magical to physical power. Added 30, 35, 40, 45, 50 base damage to something. It doesn't say, I guess, to Dusk. Damage per additional stack decreased. Decreased from 16, 10, 22 to 15, 28 to 20, 34 to 25, and 40 to 30. Scaling per stack increased from 25 or 20 to 25%, and damage changed decreased slightly. Shadow Glide lockout window decreased, and her Mercy lockout window decreased. So a big change to Dusk with Kira, and then her E and right mouse button lockout window was decreased. Murdoch got some pretty big changes. Again, his basic attack 100 to 90%. His static trap duration decreased from 1.25 seconds to 1 second, while his radius decreased from 150 to 135. His stim pack loses its slow immunity. Buckshot damage fall off range decreased from 60 to 50%. The damage increased very slightly. Total physical power scaling decreased though. Again, pretty slightly, not too big. Cooldown decreased from 14, 13, 12, 11, 10 to 13, 12, 11 to 9, so just by 1 second. Going down, again, we can see basic attacks getting decreased a little bit. We have some changes to Rev. For his Bounty Hunter passive, base kill gold gains decreased from 50 to 25, and bonus physical power decreased from 6.5, 15% to 5.75 at 10%. Obliterate his Q. Base damage decreased just by 10 across the board for each level, and his range decreased from 1750 to 1550. His Hellfire rounds, critical strike multiplier changed. It's up in the beginning levels, but down at the later levels, what it looks like. Richter got some really big buffs to his mana, but in return his shield scaling increased. His whip, his bonus physical power scaling decreased from 80 to, or from 100 to 90. That's his basic attack. And his E now deals 20% damage, additional damage to monsters, which is great. Sev got some nerf at his Siphon. His minion healing decreased from 10 to 5%, and as well as his basic attack went from 70 to 60%. Shinbi got the same basic attack nerf. Sparrow got the same basic attack nerf. And for the most part, everybody got that basic attack nerf and some big changes to some of the carries. I saw Chimera, his basic attack went down 20%. So that's unfortunate because I feel like he hasn't been too viable since last patch. But we'll see how that feels this patch. For Vision, the Sentry Award duration decreased from 15 to 12%, or 12 seconds rather. I'm not going to go over many of the crest just for the sake of time in the video, but some major changes for the crest are the support crest, now giving you less gold per charge, but lowering the cost to evolve the crest, as well as Brutal Axe, increasing the health pretty substantially, and decreasing the physical power and removing the attack speed. So pretty big changes to Brutal Axe. But we will move on to some of the items, starting with the carry items. So now we have the items. There's a lot in the item section, so I'm just gonna hit some of the hot spots. Starting off with the vision, the Sentry Ward duration decreased from 15 to 12 seconds. For the crest, the support crest all decrease the amount of gold per charge from 25 to 20%, but also decrease the gold required to evolve your crest. Brutal Axe got a pretty big change. The health increased from 125 to 200. The physical power decreased from 25 to 20, and Purifying Rage attack speed removed. As for Liberator, lifesteal decreased from 8% to 5%, and the Purifying Guard shield level scaling removed. And then a few other changes to Pacifier and Witch Stalker. Let's go past those. We got a tier 1 change. We're not going to go over that, or tier 2 changes. But for the carry items, a lot of the carry items got changed in some way. I'm not going to go over them all. Just give you a basic idea. Most of them got a decrease in damage, as well as some of them got increases in gold cost. Lightning Hawk got a pretty big nerf. Its physical power decreased from 50 to 45. Chilling Zap scaling decreased from 75 to 50, and the Chilling Slap slow magnitude decreased from 30 to 25%. King's Bane also got some pretty big changes, changing from magical to physical power. Chaos base damage decreased from 15 to 10%. Chaos scaling increased from 10% to 15%. Order base healing decreased from 15 to 10%. A lot of changes with King's Bane. We're going to have to see how that affects it. Resolution got a small physical power nerf. Sky Splitter got attack speed increased from 30 to 35. Rend damage decreased from 3% to 5%. Viper got its ability haste removed. Some changes to Tainted Rounds. Terminus Endless passive removed, no longer grants a shield on takedown. Vanquisher got a little bit of a nerf. Physical power decreased from 50 to 45. Physical penetration increased from 10 to 12. We have one assassin item change, which is Death Stalker. They decreased the cost by 100 gold. The physical power increased from 40 to 45. Ability haste decreased from 20 to 10. We have a couple fighter items here that got changed. We have Basilisk. Health increased from 250 to 300. And the recipe changed to get to the item. Draconium, the armor increased from 35 to 40. Surge changed from dealing and receiving any damage from any source to dealing damage with basic attacks, abilities to enemy heroes or monsters. Surge duration changed from until out of combat for 5 seconds. So some decent changes on Draconium to watch out for. A small change on Tainted Scepter. For jungle, for the cyan buff and the gold buff, we have some changes. For the cyan buff, XP growth per minute decreases from 20 to 15. For the gold buff, health growth decreased from 90 to 70%, or 90 to 70. Gold growth per minute decreased from 8 to 4. And the max gold decreased from 200 to 140. So a little bit nerf on the gold buff and a little bit of nerf on the cyan buff. Now we have a lot of bug fixes to go through. Let's go through them all. And lastly, we have all the bug fixes to close out the patch. I'm not going to go through them right now, but feel free to look through the bug fixes. That concludes everything that you have to know about the new patch coming tomorrow. The main goal for Omidia and Season 2 is pretty much to just increase the time to kill, especially for the carries. As you saw, they nerfed quite a few of the carries as well as the carry items, so I'm excited to see how Season 2 is going to feel. I'm excited to test out the new character phase and also competitive nights. So can't wait. I'll be live tomorrow on twitch.tv/wvisionw. Come check me out. But without further ado, that's everything. Thank you for watching. Make sure you go hit that like button, subscribe, and leave a comment. Tell me what you think of the video. Peace out. Thank you.